Today's podcast is brought to you by our friends over at Smart Deploy. Head on over to smartdeploy.com/FRD for modern endpoint solutions for the modern hybrid workplace. And today we're talking about modern hybrid devices.
Are we? Sure, why not?
Come on with the enthusiasm for the ride. It's hardware day. It's review day.
Yep. And for a change, I have almost nothing but good news.
Well, we'll just end it there. We don't want to ruin that.
I know. You might want to just grab some whiskey or something and wonder what the hell just happened in this world.
You don't have to tell me twice. What do you got over
Well,
there?
you have, let's discuss what's happening here. So, Surface Pro 8, Surface Laptop Studio.
You almost called it what I almost call it every time. I want to call it the Surface Studio Laptop, but it's Surface Laptop Studio.
They should have called it Surface Studio Go.
Well, they want to sell them.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. And then Surface Go 3, which is, I guess, not as big of a deal. I have to say, for the wider world, I think Pro 8 is the much more important release here.
Oh, for sure.
It is Microsoft's only truly successful and influential hardware computer product. That said, I think people like you and me, and probably people listening to this, might be more interested in the laptop studio. Mm-hmm. So talk to us. What's it like?
So you can lick it.
Okay, please don't.
I will not. So, I mean, it's here. Like it's a thing,
it's
right?
Here.
Like
that's what you have to say. It's here.
Yeah. Like, look, you can open it. So
here's my primary concern.
Oh, see that? Don't.
That from this bottom half. It's So it's got this base, and the base elevates the typing surface, including in the front.
Yes.
Which is unlike Surface.
Because if you look,
sorry.
Right.
Does that? How do you feel about that?
I don't know if I can do the whole. Like I have an actual Surface Book right here. Like it's effectively just the top of a Surface Book, and then you go to Amazon, you buy a laptop cooler, and then you weld it to the bottom.
Does it negatively impact typing experience?
Not really, because your hands are on the wrist. I mean, I have the same problem with the typing experience on this as I do with the Surface Book. It's that the edges are just damn sharp. Like it's
the MacBook Pro problem.
Yeah, same MacBook Pro problem. It's not unique, but so I told this to Paul yesterday. This thing is an 80s Italian sports car. Is exactly what this is, because it's got a lot of power, although there's no rear wheel drive here. It's got a lot of power under the hood. This one's the i7 3050 Ti. It's also got a lot of quirks, right? So, Paul, here's a great...
Hopefully it doesn't have the reliability issues of an 80s Italian car.
Hopefully less fire issues. But, Paul, here's a great example. So you want to tilt this display back. You would go like this, correct?
Right.
What is in the top right corner of every single window in Windows since Windows has been Windows? It's the close button. So while using this, I definitely closed Word twice because I was like, I need to tilt this thing. And you your thumb instinctively just presses right on that X.
Interesting. How big is the bezel?
Bezel is actually smaller than
maybe that's part of the problem, right? Like, that's an interesting problem because I think most of us would have been complaining, make the bezel smaller, and then it's like, hey, the bezel is too small.
Mm-hmm. No. Yeah, if you grab, I mean, I think I have normal sized thumbs. Like if you just grab it, half your thumb is on the bezel, half of it is on the display. Because the magnet.
So, do you think you would get used to this over time, and maybe
probably,
this is your only product, right? So you grab it toward the middle, maybe less so than toward the top.
You can't really grab it in the middle because that hinge. I don't know if it is. It feels like it's higher up on the display than like middle.
Okay.
Like you're. I don't know. And then the magnets that they chose for down here at this bottom, I assume that they went to a junkyard and asked them. It says, "Hey, what are those big magnets you use to lift up the cars?" Because I mean, they're pretty strong.
Could you attach it to your fridge?
Yeah. Like it's.
Hey, by the way, show the bottom of it real quick. That pen thing there, that looks precarious to me.
It's on there pretty well.
No, I don't mean that it's not on well. I just mean because it's on the outside like that, you're going to throw it in your bag and it will pop out as it goes in, or I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know if it's in there pretty good.
Okay.
I'm not saying it doesn't. And speaking of the pen, I'm curious because I know the Pro 8 has this too. I guess we can get to that in a second. I'm not a fan of the haptics.
I have not experienced the haptics. In fact, I'm wondering if something's wrong. So I'll tell you, what I'm not a fan of is the Carpenter pencil style. I don't, there's something about the flatness of it that feels awkward in my hand. I never liked growing up as a budding artist of sorts, using all kinds of pens and pencils and charcoals and whatnot. Never liked Carpenter's pencils. This is something they're designed so they don't roll off of a desk, right? That's the reason for it. And but they're also designed for people who are not artists or writers. They're literally designed to mark things up temporarily while you're doing carpentry work. Maybe that should have been a clue that this wasn't necessarily the best form factor, but obviously it doesn't roll. I think Surface Pen, one of the iterations has at least one flat edge, right?
Yes.
And I know a lot of HP Smart Pens have flat edges, so they don't roll on desks. So we've solved that problem. The problem I usually have with Smart Pens is that a lot of them are just styluses and they're really small. And for someone like me who has big hands, I can't hold like a little S Pen very effectively. But I find this awkward. That will vary by person, but I wish they made a haptics-based Surface Pen that was not a Carpenter's pencil style. And maybe they will. I hope they don't just switch to this one style, because I feel like that'd be kind of a mistake. Yeah. Anyway, I've not experienced the haptics, so let me ask you this: what application or applications have you used with it where you've had that haptics experience, or where do you experience it?
I think it's on everything.
On everything, yeah. So something's wrong.
I know it's on whiteboard. Like, I think you have to.
Yeah. Oh, whiteboard is the one I've been trying. Yeah. So there's also that interaction between there's a special processor in the device. Actually, I'm not sure if it is in that device. It must be. And the pen, and with the haptics as well. And then and then you need special. I believe this feature requires special software or compatible software, but you get that kind of pen on paper effect.
Yes, it's got
a little bit of it's real subtle, but if you know how paper's not smooth, even though it looks smooth, it actually has little ridges. So you get that little, you can feel it physically, the ball of the pen, so to speak, moving over the uneven surface of paper, right? So have you ever experienced that? I mean, with this pen?
Yeah, like I just did it on the whiteboard. Like, so if you start to press,
all right, I gotta figure.
If you press in a little bit, you can feel like it's. The thing is it's optional. You can turn it off, which is great. So if you don't like it, like me, it's.
Where do you do that in the Surface app?
Somewhere.
Because I got to look at this because I'm really confused by that. This is the one thing I kind of want. I put off writing about the pen that much because of this. Like, I kind of want to go see what that's about.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's disappointing.
Well, things that aren't disappointing is a message from our friend over at Smart Deploy, who enables IT admins, I should say, to essentially manage PCs from the cloud, push Windows apps, BIOS updates, security patches to any device anywhere without ever leaving your desk. Get your exclusive free offer of software. That sort of rhymes, I guess. Software worth over $570 at smartdeploy.com/FRD. Or stick around as Paul tries to figure out how to work a pen.
Yeah, so, I mean, just looking at it, there is I kind of just got rid of it. I just opened like 3 different apps somehow. Let me find it. Yeah, so there's a setting in settings under Pen in Windows 8 called Tactile Signals.
Yes.
Which I assume is this, and it's on.
Open up Whiteboard, and then you just kind of like.
Well, I did. That's how I tested it.
You got to press in a little bit, like, and you have to be holding it near the bottom. If you're holding like near the eraser, you will not feel it.
Oh, well, I feel nothing. Which should have been the title of this episode, by the way. So I will look into this. Maybe there's something wrong with the battery or something. No, it says it's 100% charged. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. Anyways, I really like this thing. Like, I mean, I'm putting it side by side right now of the Surface Pro 3, which I've never actually done, which is going to be useless for anybody watching this.
Right.
It's like,
right.
You can see it's like there.
Well, so Surface Book, I guess, has the obvious problem. So, because all the processing is in the clipboard top of it, it's top heavy. You detach it and you lose the GPU and so forth, right? So it's a little weird, but okay, that's fine. And then that disconnect can be unreliable, and anyone who owns a Surface Book has probably experienced this thing where you're using it. It's like it gives you a little pop-up. It says, hey, what do you want to do now that you've detached the keyboard? And you're like, I haven't detached the keyboard. So I don't know. I don't know about that one, but
Yeah.
being the type of user I am and liking Surface products the way I do, personally, that's the most interesting product to me is this Surface Book replacement. And
Mhm.
I don't, it seems reasonably priced for what it is, I guess. It's a little high, but premium PCs, good ones usually start somewhere in the $1,100 to $1,300 range. What is this one? Like $1,600 probably. Uh, I don't know. It looks good to me. I like the size seems right.
Mhm.
That sweet spot between 13.5 and 15, right? I think they did that right. I will say, for many years I sort of argued that Microsoft was onto something with 3x2 displays, and now that 16:10 displays are starting to happen on laptops, actually 3x2 displays make sense on tablets, and I
Mm.
think 16:10 is the better form factor for like a traditional laptop type device. So I wonder. I don't know if they'll ever switch that part of it out, but
One thing I will say, the speakers on this thing,
Mhm.
surprisingly good.
A Pro 8 as well.
Yeah.
Shockingly good. Yeah.
Let's talk Pro 8. I know I've got one upstairs, but you have one
What did you
as
get on
well.
that?
What's that?
What color?
Black. Does it come in anything other than black?
So as soon as I opened this thing up and looked at it, my first reaction was, "Oh God." It looks just like Surface Laptop. Well, for me, it was Surface Laptop 2, which was I think the last one I reviewed. The version I had of that was black,
Mhm.
and that product is aluminum. It was I don't know if it was the first, but Microsoft had used magnesium for basically everything, certainly for Pro until that point. They experienced terrible results trying to paint magnesium with one Pro 1 and 2 and RT 1, and then they went to natural magnesium after that. And I thought it was such an iconic part of the product. And so Surface Laptop, I was a little surprised they went with aluminum, and now with Pro 8 they've gone with aluminum, and it gives them the opportunity to anodize or paint,
Mhm.
right? The product. But there's only two colors. It's like black and gray. Like if you had like red and green and blue and everything, I'd be like, okay, that makes some sense. But other than that, I have to say this thing, if you're a Surface Pro fan,
Mhm.
and you've been waiting for because you probably have been. This is it. Like this, and now
Yep.
granted, I don't know reliability. I've had it left for
Mhm.
less than a week, but this is the product that people who love this product have wanted. It's the 13-inch display. It's the full power of the Intel processor stuff. It's got Thunderbolt finally. It has that keyboard type cover that we had from Pro X with the slim pen in the well where it charges in there if you want that. It's This is what people have been asking for.
Mhm.
This is peak Surface Pro.
The
Um,
only There's only
yeah.
two minor things I could say that they could improve on this thing. Only two. Granted, it's fantastic. If you have a Surface Pro, I fully agree with Paul. This is the one. Just go buy it. It is more expensive. It's 1,000.
So by the way, it actually isn't. So yeah, Surface Pro 7 when it launched did have a Core i3 version
Mhm.
that was $750. It was really cheap, but that product was a piece of junk, right?
Yeah.
Like if you went to this is what launched. The price is low now, but Surface Pro 7 when it launched, the Core i5 version was $1,200. This is actually $100 less. Um, the other difference is on 7 and 6 and maybe 5, I don't remember where this started, but for some number of Surface Pros, if you got the Core i3 or Core i5 version, it was fanless and silent, which is desirable in some ways. But because these things are so thin, they really throttled the processor, especially as it heated up, and you lost out on the full power of this thing. So not only is it, and they'll have sales and all that stuff, but there's only Core i5 and Core i7. Neither one of them are fanless or silent.
Mhm.
However, I've actually never really heard this thing come on, but you get the full power of the processor. So honestly, I think for most people, they probably made the right decision. And as I sort of blurted out there, I mean, Surface is on sale all the time. You'll
Mhm.
have Black Friday sales and whatever this year before the end of the year, and then next year you can expect this thing to go down. Look at the price of Surface Pro 7 today compared to how it was when it launched. It's hundreds of dollars less. They still sell it. You know,
Yeah.
just a thought.
Just a thought. One thing to keep in mind too is that if you have a previous type cover, you're going to be buying a new one, and that factors into that price. And the keyboard cover with the haptic or non-haptic pen, depending on if you're Paul or Brad, is 250 bones, or the non-pen version is 179, I believe. So.
Yeah, and those are expensive. I mean, I feel like the signature type cover has been like 160 for a while, and there's a $130 version as well on the classic, previous Surface Pros. So yeah, those prices have definitely gone up. But for the people who want this kind of product, I think the advantages of it, Thunderbolt, bigger screen, faster, better processors, etc., justifies the cost. And again, there are people who just need or want this kind of thing. They will not question this. This is the thing they've been waiting for. We don't know why it didn't happen 2 years ago. We don't know why it didn't happen last year. We saw Surface Pro X 2 years ago. We're like, that's the thing. We want that, but we want the stuff in the inside to be Intel or AMD or whatever, but it's Intel. And here we are finally. So it took them a while. My God, did it take them a while? But I think they can't promise. I mean, how long did the Surface, what's it called? The type cover connector.
Oh, I think it was 7-8 years,
Surface
something
Pro
like that.
Probably. I mean, it's been a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We don't know how long this one will last. But this is the first change to that connector they've made. Although, actually, this is the same as Surface Pro X, right?
It is, but I don't know if it's the same size.
Oh. Well, you should look into that. Because
I do. I have one around here somewhere.
Yeah, see if they are interchangeable. But whatever the case is, the punt, it's the first major change that they made to the Pro, the traditional Pro line since I think Surface Pro 3. So, they have to change it eventually.
Yeah. So there you go. Good stuff. The only thing missing, I was going to say, from the Pro 8, which we know they're going to do next gen, is the 5Gs. They stuck with LTE Advanced. So if for some reason you're sensitive to that, maybe wait. But
you ask these guys questions about some of the things which to us seem obvious. Like why would you switch from magnesium? It's so core to the identity of the product line, and it's like the colors pop. It's like the color's black. It's like black and gray. What are the colors? And I guess there's some recycling excuse, whatever. Okay, and magnesium is very recyclable, by the way. But okay, fine. But the LTE thing, it's like, why would you just not have 5G?
Yeah.
And it's like our corporate customers are asking for LTE.
What about your consumers?
Yeah. Here's an idea. Why wouldn't you just have a choice? Like, why charge more for 5G?
So they can have it as a point on the Surface Pro 9, Paul.
No, but this is like our corporate customers were asking. This is the reason they didn't do Thunderbolt for like 8 years. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Every enterprise computer on Earth, every enterprise PC maker on Earth, not every enterprise PC, offers 5G.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't you just offer it? No? See what? Okay. Sorry. Seems obvious to me.
It does. And so anyways, good updates, I think.
Yeah. No, this is Microsoft. Yep. Look, every time you market anything, there's going to be some hyperbole going on. But, the strongest Surface lineup in history. Yeah, you would hope so.
Yeah.
But you know what? Yeah, it is. I mean, like this is pretty much where it needs to be. I mean, obviously we can there are little things here and there, but I mean, the broad look at the product line right now, it's like yes, like this is solid. And I certainly have voiced my doubts about Surface over time, but it looks great. It all looks great.
Yeah. Other things that look great. Our friends over at SmartDeploy, it's 47% faster than Semantic Ghost and 100% worth it. Head on over to smartdeploy.com/FRD, and we'll be back tomorrow probably talking about Surface, let's be honest.
Sure. We're going to talk about that mouse.
Or carpenter ants.